I have never been asked if we lived in a house, if I've ever seen a lion, if we have food, if we had water, if we wore clothes, like crazy, stupid questions. What does it feel like to be living here in Merida, Mexico, as a single black woman? That is a very popular question that I get asked very often. So, what does it feel like to be black in Mexico? All right, for those who are new to me, welcome. My name is Adiola, and I am a Nigerian living here in Merida, Yucatan, Mexico. So today's video will be a very brief one, I'm hoping, and it'll be about living here in Merida, Yucatan as a black woman. So I've been black in quite a few countries, but here in Merida, it's very different because my first time in Mexico, 2018, I traveled to a few cities, and the city where I felt black the most was in Acapulco. So many people were stopping me to take pictures with me. Acapulco, yeah. Guadalajara as well, yeah. A few people asked to take pictures with me. In Merida, in the past 3 years that I've been here, 3 years and a few months, I've only been asked maybe 2 times for someone to take a picture with me. And my first time was in Progreso, and the second time I can't remember. Probably also, yeah, on the beach as well. So those people are probably Mexican tourists from other parts of Mexico. But in Merida, really, like, I just walk around. Nobody is pointing fingers at me like, hey, black person. Nobody really cares. No cat calling. Nobody calls me Morena or something like that. In Colombia, I got called Morenita a lot. Even I'm like, there are other black women walking on the street, especially Cartagena, because Morena is supposed to be endearing, even though it means brown lady, right? But to me, that was actually quite surprising because I'm in Cartagena, like a city full of Afro-Colombians. Like, I'm obviously nothing special. Nobody special. Anyway, but yeah, in Merida, you can exist as a normal human being. So that's one thing that I love about it. The fact that I don't feel black. I don't feel like, oh, I'm a black person walking on the streets. Because I definitely felt that living in China. Every single day, I felt black. So, but in Merida, no. So, another question is racism and discrimination. Are Yucatecans racist or are Mexicans racist? Yes, I'll just say yes. There's no other way to go around it. So, they are mostly classist, but it also discriminatory and racist as well, because you have brown Mexicans and you also have white Mexicans. You have Morena Mexicans who are mixed, so it's like indigenous and white, right? So they have black hair, and they might look white, but they have black hair or a little bit brown, or they're brown face or black hair, and white Mexicans are like they look Europeans, right? And between the European looking Mexicans and the brown Mexicans, there is definitely way more than classism going on between them, right? A lot of racism. So when you watch telenovelas, right, you're gonna see that the white Mexicans are the ones with the big roles, the major roles, the main roles. They are the bosses, the homeowners, the what have you. And then the Morenitas or the Morenos, so meaning the brown Mexicans, meaning people from, let's say, Yucatan, Chiapas, places like that, will be the maids, the cleaners, the nannies, the drivers, the gardeners, all these things, right? That is racism. It's not even classism, right? Because classism could be just, okay, I'm rich, you're poor. Okay, so you deserve to live here. In Yucatan, there is definitely a lot of that going on, classism, between the rich and the poor. But usually the rich, what I've noticed, especially people who live in the north versus the south, people who live in the north, they're usually more clearer skin tone, like lighter skin tone. Because when I go to the north, when I go to the shopping malls in the north, people are very white. They're looking very white, very light skin, versus going to the south, right? It's just different, very different. So, but they will call it classism, but really it is racism when you discriminate based on what somebody looks like or their ethnicity, right? But here's the but: are Mexicans racist towards black people? That is another question, right? because that's probably the question that you care about, right? Not so much what's going on between the Mexicans. Are they racist towards black people? I'll say for the most part, no, right? And the reason I'm saying for the most part no is that most black people living in Mexico, they don't really have anything that they need from the Mexicans in general, because most people will experience racism when it comes to finding a job, right? When it comes to finding a good place to live in, a good neighborhood to live in, when it comes to finding good healthcare, good schools, right? But when you're coming down to Mexico, you're coming down with your US dollars. Trust me, nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's like, can you afford this? Can you afford this rent? Can you afford this school fees? Can you afford this medical bill? Can you afford this? Like, nobody cares. So, yeah, because money speaks. You could have a really thick accent. Once they see, your money, their ears would open up. Their ears would open up. So money speaks. So yeah, so many black people, right? Let me say black Americans, black Canadians, black even black Africans with money, right? You don't have to deal with racism. No, you don't have to deal with racism. But if you are a poor black person, yes, definitely yes. Because remember, I did mention that classism exists in Mexico, like anywhere else in the world, right? Classism exists. So if you are a black Haitian, yes, a black Haitian, a black person from the Caribbean, you're just a black Cuban, you're just coming here, you're starting all over, yeah, then you are at their mercy, right? You might need to get a job from them. You might need a favor from them. You might need something from them, right? And so that's where you might experience racism. But sometimes they're just doing it as a part of protocol. So I was watching a YouTube video from a popular YouTube couple called the Yarabos. And so they talked about taking the bus in Oaxaca, and that the bus that they took had several checkpoints. And at every checkpoint, the bus had to stop for the army, I believe, to come in and to check everybody. And they said that every single time that the police will come straight to them, because they were at the back of the bus, the police would just bypass everybody and just go straight to them and ask them for their passport. And so they were thinking, okay, Mexicans are being racist. And then when they did their research, they found out that, right, that the police were tasked with weeding out Haitians, right? Because right now Mexico is facing a really big problem with Haitians who are trying to go to the US, right? And so they're having that political pressure from the US, right? Because the US is asking them to toughen up their security at the border, right? So if you're black, they're just assuming you might be Haitian, right? And so you might think, okay, Mexicans or these Mexican police are being discriminatory, but really they're just trying to do their job, right? Because they've been given a particular profile to look out for, right? So it's not always about race. Now, you're going to come across some biased Mexicans, right, who are just innate because they're trying to get you as a foreigner, especially as an American, to go back to your country. Because, well, in America, they're telling the Mexicans to go back to their country, right? So you might have such Mexicans who had a really bad experience back in the U.S., or maybe a friend of theirs or a relative of theirs had a really bad experience, and now they're trying to take it out on you, and they're trying to teach you how it feels like, to be treated in such a way. But for me personally, as an African, so one thing that I've noticed about Latin America, so after living in Colombia and Mexico, is that the image of Africa in the news is very different compared to the US and Canada, for example. It's very different, and I would say positive in a way, because living in Colombia for 2 years, living in Mexico for almost 4 years now, I have never been asked if we lived in a house, if I've ever seen a lion, if we have food, if we had water, if we wore clothes. Like crazy, stupid questions that many Canadians and Americans would ask me, especially white people. I have never been asked such a question when I tell them I'm African, I'm from Nigeria. Popular questions that they usually ask me, both Mexico and Colombia, is that, hey, how long does it take to travel from your country to my country, right? How many planes did he have to take? How expensive was it to come to my country, right? In Merida especially, people will ask me, is Nigeria beautiful? Is your country beautiful? What is it like? Some Mexicans who are really passionate about football will be like, hey, you're from Nigeria. They're really good at football because they have the image of the 90s, Nigeria in the 90s in their head still, right? Some of them might talk about the Nigerian music industry. We'll talk about how Nigeria has so much crude oil, so it's very rich in resources. So I'm thinking, the image that Latin Americans have about Africa is very positive, it's very different. Because I guess World Vision isn't Mexican owned. All these charity donate $1 a day because it's gonna help feed a child. All these poverty media that's present in the US and Canada, they don't show those in Mexico because obviously Mexicans also need the money as well. So how are you gonna tell somebody to donate money to a foreign country when people in their own country they need money, right? So all those negative images, they don't exist in Mexico. So I mean, the image that Mexicans have about Africans is positive, or at least based on my experience so far, living in Merida, Mexico. So yeah, I've never had any negative issue. Also, when it comes to my color, again, I've never had an issue whereby somebody was given an opportunity instead of me, because again, I've never really looked for an opportunity like that in Mexico. So for me to be like, hey, how come she got the job? Like, I don't need a job in Mexico, and I hope it stays that way. So how come she got picked? How come he got picked? Because of the color of his skin. So again, I've never been in that situation. So if you are living in Mexico, anywhere in Mexico, let me know what your experience is like, especially if you are African, because I know that Africans and African Americans, they get treated very differently in many parts of the world, right? So let me know what your experience has been like. For me, I don't have a typical job here. I'm not at somebody's mercy, so I can't really speak much about that, like what it feels like to be an African female or as a black female. But if you've experienced negativity or like a negative experience with Mexicans, do let me know in the comment section. For me, my experience has been positive, and that's why I'm still here after almost 4 years now. Yeah, so just let me know what your experience has been like. So what does it feel like living in Mexico as a solo black woman? For me, it has been positive on all fronts. One thing though that you might have to watch out for is in the dating world, right? So some people are looking to experiment. Some people are looking to experiment, or they just get excited because you're black. So usually those people, you can weed them out very easily, because the only thing they talk about is your blackness. Your blackness, your blackness, your blackness, right? So, but I mean, it's very easy to weed those people out. In that way, you can really form genuine connection with people in terms of friendship, romantic relationship, business relationship, or what have you, right? So what does it feel like living here in Mexico? I would say, as a solo black woman, I would say that it feels very good. It feels freeing, right? I just feel, I feel free, liberated, right? I don't have to worry about my blackness, the shade of my skin. I'm dark skin, brown skin, all these things. It just feels free. It feels very good in Mexico. Colombia, something else. Yeah, so I mean, that's a video for another day. But in Merida, especially, in other parts of Mexico, it's different, but in Merida, it's just different. It's the culture here is very different, right? So they have their own issues to deal with. So they're not even looking at you being black. Or what have you. So that has been my experience. So I believe that's it for this video. If you have any experiences here in Merida or just here in Mexico in general as a black person, it could be positive, neutral, negative, please do let me know in the comment section below. Or it could be from a different ethnicity, right? So let me not say minority, because it's like, really, what is or who is a minority? Well, I guess in Mexico I am a minority, but yeah, as a colored person, again, color, it's like color, but then the other people are what? colorless, meaning they're transparent. So just those labels, I don't agree with many of those labels. But as someone who is, I guess, not Mexican, I guess, let me know what your experience is like in Mexico. Yeah, what it's like or what it has been like in Mexico. Let me know in the comment section below. And again, if I said something that resonated with you that you like, please make sure to give me a thumbs up to like this video. You can also just chime in the comment section below. It'll also help me out if you subscribe to the channel. And if there's something here that I said that is shareable, please do share. You can just click on the arrow button below this video and just share this video out to your network. All right, I will see you in the next video. Ciao.